Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ GOONS podcast. I am Tim, the MUSHMASTER Spriggs, and my co-host, as always, is
Nico Ball. No Nico here. No AKAs. Maybe today, because we have no guests, we can try to think of some AKAs for me or something.
You got to write those down. You can't drop the ball on it. You got to listen. It takes a while to come up with the AKAs. Okay.
Okay. The art of the AKA.
MUSHMASTER, Blast Double Poppy, the Train Wreck God, all that good stuff. It takes a long time, and you got to write it out. I was trying to be a little bit more professional by not doing too many AKAs, but they're coming back next week, folks. Okay. A lot has been going on lately since our last episode that kind of went viral when it came to all the shit that was going on like 3 weeks ago. It feels like ages. I can liken this to being a little kid and how time feels like it goes slow, like really slow, because every day feels like the same. And it's just really just so uncertain, like if you're a little kid, except a little bit more terrifying.
Are you an extrovert?
Am I an extrovert?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, in jiu-jitsu circles, no. It takes a while for people to get to know me. I'm actually really introverted. It takes a while for people to open up. When I open up, I feel real positive. I feel like I'll talk a lot, but for the most part, I try not to talk much. I'm like a low-key dude. People say I'm funny and stuff, but like in general, I'm an introvert.
Okay. I was wondering how you were doing with like quarantine, like because like with everything else aside, all the crazy shit, I've been like enjoying quarantine and not having to go to work and not having to see people. Like I definitely miss training, but like I'm a teacher, so like I can't like telework. Like I have to be there every day. I haven't had to see anybody. It's been kind of peaceful.
I miss being in the gym and striving for a goal.
Yeah, the goals, the competitions.
It's kind of sad. Like I was talking to you earlier about it. It's real sad because this has been my whole life since I was 16 years old. And I don't really like anything else. I'm the type of person where I can't punch a clock. I need to have adventure. I grew up realizing that life is short. It can be taken at any moment. So if you're going to do something with your life, make it worthwhile and do something that makes you want to wake up in the morning. And unfortunately, I can't do the one thing that is giving me vision. It's giving me a reason to wake up in the morning and push myself, and it's gone. Like, people want to say, oh, it's different. Oh, we can work around it. Like as of right now, for the last 4 months, it's gone. And everyone else that is doing martial arts and has done it for a long time, they feel the same way probably. It's like, the shit's gone, bro. It's not coming back anytime soon, and you have to adjust. And I try to fill the void with doing work and building projects, but nothing is the same as pushing to be a world champion. And I'm using the time wisely as best I can, but my career, the thing that I love the most in my life, is in limbo. So that's the part to me that's the hardest. Like dealing with people, I deal with people and fight the introvert inside of me to get goals accomplished. Like I have to go to the gym and talk to people. I have to communicate. I have to market myself, or at least try to, which is varying degrees of success. And I do that because I want to be a world champion, because I love jiu-jitsu. I love teaching, but I love competing. And it's fucked up because you're afraid to even go to the gym at times because you're like, I trust myself. I wear my mask all the time. I'm as cautious as humanly possible considering the circumstances. And it's hard for you to trust people when you see people online going out to the fucking beach. So it's like, so it's either I'm at home depressed because I can't train. The one thing that I'm gonna be honest, Nico, I love jiu-jitsu because it's all I care about. Like it's everything to me. So I'm at home not doing shit. Like I don't really care about anything else in life. Like there's shit I like, but it's not like it's gonna fill a hole. Like some people will be like, I work, I have a career, and I do jujitsu for fun. Like, no, jujitsu is my everything. As much as I say I like other stuff, because it's hard doing it. It's a hard sport. It's something I love. So I have a choice of I don't do the thing I love and I stay my ass at home and just work on these projects that aren't giving me immediate endorphin rush or not giving me immediate results, like building a business and collaborating with people, or I go and train and do what I love and risk myself catching the Rona and fucking my career if it gets bad. I mean, we can argue about statistics, but there is a chance that you can get sick and not be able to have your sense of taste for months. There's a chance you could get sick and your lungs don't work at full capacity. So that fucks my career because I'm already somebody that doesn't use performance enhancing drugs. So if I get really fucked up and it halts my career for a year or two or permanently scars me, I'm screwed. So my dream of getting more gold is done. And that's the dilemma that I'm in and a lot of people are in. And it's just sad, bro. That's the balancing act I'm having in my mind all the time. And I want to train again. I want to come back. And it's just I have to plan for it.
Yeah, I think that's a question that a lot of people are dealing with right now, because clearly, like you said that things aren't coming back for a while, but then there's like other people. Clearly there's been Fight to Win, there's been other events, there's like a hella stacked UFC card tomorrow that I'm trying to figure out like how I can watch it in the times of quarantine where I can't pay for a pay-per-view. But like clearly there are some people that are just making like this huge push to end quarantine. Like I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago I got a message from Eduardo Hockey that's in Florida, and they're having like just summer camp like normal. Like I forget that he's in Florida where they're like all crazy and they didn't want to, they didn't want to shut down anything. So it's like, they had kids out there, there's people at the beach, they're just doing everything normal. Like I'm here in DC and there's a school across the street from my house and there's like a soccer camp there. And there's like a whole bunch of kids out there every day with like no mask, no nothing. So it's like some people are super scared to get it and aren't training. And then other people are just clearly like right back at it. Like, they never wanted to shut down. I see gyms opening up in Maryland where some of them are having like non-contact classes. Others are just having normal training classes. Like gyms are even starting to open up in Rio. I see like the social projects in City of God, like Marcio de Dios, like Gabi Pesaña's coach. Like he's super, super organized. So he's always posting on Instagram. Like he has like all the mats like sectioned off and like people are doing drills with like balls and different like solo drills. But, for as much as I love jujitsu, it's like, I can't just go back to the gym and just like drill on that dummy man, like, and just sit there and be 6 feet away from everybody. That would be really hard. And like, I was talking to like the instructor at my social project at Today Kids Project, and I was like, well, are you guys opening up? Because I know they're opening up in City of God, and they asked me about like some cleaning supplies. And he's smart. He's like, nah, because like they can only have non-contact training, and I know they can't handle that. So like we just not gonna open. Like he knows them. He's like, they're just gonna roll like normal. Like so, and I see them like training up on roofs and everything. Like some people have secret training and they're gonna come back really conditioned, and other people are being like super cautious. So like when we do come back to like actually competing in like IBJJF and things like that, it's gonna be super interesting to see the level of competition.
It's going to be very interesting.
But I got a question for you before you said, because we were talking about this earlier, and I was like, no, I'm going to put you on spot on air. Like, people have been asking you to fight. Like, I'm a blue belt. Nobody's calling me out to go to these events, but people have been hitting you up.
People have been hitting me up. Fight to Win hit me up. Third Coast Grappling hit me up. Those are the main two. Other people keep asking me. I haven't been training since right before PANS, since they canceled PANS. So 2 days before they canceled PANS, or the day before, they just shut it down. I haven't been in the gym training hard. I haven't rolled or drilled since March. The only thing I've done within the last 2 weeks is teach privates to only 2 of my kids not my children, but my kids' students.
Mm-hmm.
And we clean down the mat afterwards. I spray it down. I make sure they mop it too, because if I'm gonna be here training you, you're gonna help me clean up the mat area. And we
Yeah.
have our little section. It's just two of them. I've done that for the last 2 weeks. Training wise, it's been a very strange odyssey when it comes to my physical fitness. I did a lot of calisthenics like I was in prison. So I'm doing like push-ups, squats, jump squats, burpees, all kinds of stuff like that. Then I started running exclusively because I'm like, how many push-ups and sit-ups and squats am I going to really do? I want to get my cardio better. So I started running, and I run a lot now. But then I started reading this book called Practical Programming for Strength Training, this bad boy right here. And I figured if and when I do come back to compete, I want to make sure that I studied everything I needed to do to make sure that my performance improves so I can make up the lost time and jump a new level when I come back. And so that's what I've been working on now as far as training, but I haven't rolled or anything. And I watch these events, and it makes me kind of sad. I'm not going to front. Like, it's pretty disheartening when you're trying to protect your future, like your health and your career, and you're seeing other people in a better situation of training. Like, guys here in Maryland, we took it really freaking seriously. Rightfully so. We're being very conscious. I know some people, we can talk about it later, have private training sessions with a certain group of people, a small subset of the group as a whole. And I'm kind of envious. That would be good to have, but also we're trying to be cautious. I'm trying to look out for other people in the crew. So that's been a problem too for me as well. So the best that I can do is still teach. I still have my virtual coaching at timspringsbjj.com, but a lot of research, a lot of tape study. That's all I can do, and that's the best I can do for now. So as far as me fighting, I'm going to need a 6 to 8 week camp just to get back to doing jiu-jitsu, figure out what I am now as a competitor, because I've watched a lot of film, I've done a lot of research. So I'm going to need to build that up for 8 weeks, and then I'll be comfortable fighting. And hopefully there's a vaccine or the numbers go down, which that's wishful thinking because they're not. Then I'll be able to come back and fight.
True. Because I think it's like a big difference between going back to training at your gym with your team. Because I know, like, even at TLI, like, we train with the competition team. So it's like there's only like a small number of us, at least in the morning. I know night class might be a little bit different, but, we are like a group of like under 10 people as it is. And that's a self-contained group. But like going out to like an open or major tournaments where you're seeing people from different cities from all over the place, that's a little bit different.
And they're having these events in places where people are just flat out anti-science. They don't give a fuck. Pardon my French, but they don't care. They don't care. And they don't care. I'm at this point now where I'm 100% certain that people just don't give a shit. They don't care if they fight somebody and then a week later they die. They just want to be on the show. They want to get paid. They don't want to be inconvenienced. The whole issue, what was that?
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of Pink Eye and ADCC.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
on a global scale. People are like, I don't got that.
Yes, let's talk about it, man. Like, if we already saw that people have pink eye, it's obvious that you have pink eye. You can feel it. You can see it. It's not like COVID-19 where you can be symptomless for 2 weeks and then you spread to everybody. Like, you have fucking pink eye. We all know you have pink eye. And the easiest way to stop pink eye is to just stay your ass home. Don't let anyone bare ass fart on your pillow and wait until it clears out and then come back to practice. But then they spread it like wildfire. I saw Mateus Diniz versus Craig Jones. And then I saw pictures of Craig Jones' face. I'm like, did he get scratched in the face? And I'm like, oh, he was training with the dudes with pink eye.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
like, and that
evidence.
he did okay. Like, he loses the Mateus consistently, but that could have been the difference. And I'm like, man, all these dudes are nasty. Then we have that documentary, Daisy Fresh. The guys got the possums falling out of the roof on the mat, and they just act like it's no big freaking deal. And they try to say it's endearing.
It's like
That
that grind.
it's not the grind. It's just you're living in filth. And it's like, oh, it's so funny. I'm like, bro, like, first of all, I have no empathy when it comes to that, because all y'all together, you get all this clout from Flow Grappling and Show Your Roll. Bro, like, y'all telling me that y'all can't get new gis? Like, y'all telling me you don't have to live like that. Like, you don't have to live like that. You really don't. If it was me having to live like that in order for me to chase the jiu-jitsu dream, screw jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to live like that. So there's two examples so far. And now we have this pandemic going on. And I think the two things that we learned from the ADCC pink eye incident and Daisy Fresh is that people want to train no matter what. They do not want to be inconvenienced. To these world-class athletes or to these jiu-jitsu junkies, they love jiu-jitsu, not being able to train, not being able to compete. A change in their lives is an inconvenience. And people, at least in the States, do not like being inconvenienced. They don't care. They don't care if it is an inconvenience to you if they are convenienced. They don't give a shit. So if it's a matter of I'm giving you pink eye and I want to train, or if it's a matter of, bro, like, I'm sorry, we don't have time to clean the mats, or I don't feel like getting a job to go buy a gi, or I'm just gonna come to this event with ringworm. I want to compete. I want to train. I'm about getting this Skrilla. If it comes to, well, shit, I'm a young buck and I don't have it, or it's my right to train, or it's my right to make people come to this event. I don't care. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it. So people don't want to be convenienced, and they don't care. They'll do anything to not be inconvenienced, and they'll do anything to do what they want. I mean, we're expecting people to be morally conscious in a sport that's filled with cheaters. I'm not surprised by this at all. I'm not surprised. It's sad too, because someone will die. In all the sports, like if we consider all sports, not just jiu-jitsu, I'm not putting this evil out there, but you got the MLS coming back. You got the NBA coming back. They say they want baseball to come back. They want football to come back. Jiu-jitsu and MMA is already back. People are already catching it in these states. Someone will die, and it's a matter of, is it okay that we accept it just so we're not inconvenienced, or just because we want to entertain people, or because we need content? And that's the decision we have to make. I'm not going to risk it right now, but
has there been any athletes that are like actively vocalizing or speaking out against really going back? I mean, either in jiu-jitsu or in any other sports? Because I know today I was reading about in the WNBA, and this was related to Black Lives Matter, but like there was an athlete in the WNBA that was stepping out of the season because she said, now's not the time. And it was like the Atlanta senator had made some kind of comment about how sports isn't a place to make political statements, and like people were really offended, and she's like, I'm not going, I'm not playing this year, like I want to really focus on this, and if no athletes really are standing up and vocalizing and being like, yo, like why are we having events, that's like in the UFC and jiu-jitsu, has any athlete really spoken out against it?
No athlete really has. One of the questions that we had from Erin Hurley, she asked, should there be BJJ events going on right now? I haven't seen anybody really speak up. I'm not in a place where, me personally, I'm not in a place where I can tell people what they should and shouldn't do. If you want to have an event, go ahead. You should, but you need to be safe. I'm not entirely certain these events are safe. I don't know if they're doing any kind of COVID testing. From what I hear, they're not. And that's something that you have to deal with. Like, I don't think if you can't protect people, if you can't do the proper precautions, no, you shouldn't have an event. If you can make sure as best as your ability that people are safe, go for it.
But like, if you get a COVID test, like, is like, because I know like I have a friend that just tested positive recently, actually, and he's doing fine at home so far, just like cooking steak with no symptoms. But it's like he took the test and then he had to wait like 3 days to get it, and then he said like next week he found a place where he can get like same day results. But it's like, well, like when you take the test, it's like, I don't know, everybody's talking about being asymptomatic and like when are your symptoms actually going to show up? Like, could you take the test and it come be negative and then you still actually have it and it like, I don't know any of these facts. So that's why I just like, I'm just going to stay home and avoid it to the best of my ability.
I think there's always a risk. You know, there's always a risk that the test won't work, but at least try. Can we at least try? Or is that too much of an inconvenience? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're working around, we're trying to adjust, but at the same time, what I said before, people do not want to be inconvenienced.
That's so true.
To some of these promoters, it might be an inconvenience that I don't feel like paying the money for all the tests. Or why do we have to do that? Or it could just be a philosophical thing too. Because to be honest, a lot of people are so pressed to not be inconvenienced that they'll make up something in their mind or they'll look for any kind of answer that suits their worldview that they shouldn't be inconvenienced. They shouldn't have to wear masks. They should be business as usual. It's just to answer your question, Aaron, if they can't protect people to the best of our knowledge, no, they shouldn't have events. And what do you think is going to happen if someone like gets sick and dies? Like a prominent jiu-jitsu figure, they just catch the Rona and their heart craps out. Like it's a guy that's roided up and we don't know what they took as
Right.
complications and they die. Think about it though. Like, you mixing all these performance enhancing drugs and we got an infectious disease and like all it takes is one. Like Master Lloyd says, all it takes is one. But think about it, right? A guy goes to one of these events and gets sick. He goes back and he trains because he believes that it's not real, or he doesn't give a shit, or he just doesn't want to be inconvenienced and he's living life normally and he gets his teammates sick. What do you think is going to happen? Because I've heard from some very, very good sources that people have gotten sick. Like a photographer has gotten sick at an event and they ended up in the ICU. And they posted about it and they took the shit down. That's what I'm hearing. And this is from reliable sources. What are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen if someone gets sick and dies? I think in sports in general, someone will die, whether it's college sports, pro sports, I don't know, MMA. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's like, because when you talk about like, oh, if somebody in sports dies, I think, yeah, that would be big. And then I was like, yeah, how is that going to happen if they're actually healthy and in shape? Maybe if they were on steroids, but like the chances of that happening are so slim, and it is so much more probable that it is a photographer or a coach or somebody that's just working the event that may not be as in shape, that may be older, and like they're more likely going to be the one that's going to be in the ICU or that's going to die. And then when that happens, it's going to kind of be like posted and possibly deleted because it's not going to be one of those big names, you know? So, and then it's like jujitsu again, it's jujitsu. It's not the NFL. So, you know, like, I mean, Black people die all the time and nobody ever knows about it. So, you know, for something like that to happen at a small jujitsu event, I'd be like, yo, we will never know about it. We'll never know about it. You know, it should be a big thing, but who knows? Like, and yeah, I've definitely seen them, you know, I seen like on flow grappling, they got like their back rolling. I saw like Chase, he was rolling, but he was in Texas, so he's like at his local gym. But again, like I said, survival of the fittest, like you're going out, like you can make the choice, like whatever you want to go do. But like when you see people like flow grappling or fight to win or, you know, third coast, like when you see that these big names are going out, like that's going to encourage more people that aren't going to be as careful as the professionals to go out and want to train again. And like, that's going to be more of the problem, you know, like people that would be like, oh, you know, like Sadiq's out training, or they're having the UFC, like Pedro Munoz is out fighting, like I want to go train, and I want to go to, like, because, you know, Planet
You know,
Fitness.
Pedro got it, right?
Hmm?
You know, Pedro got it, right?
Got it.
The COVID.
No, I
The
didn't.
Rona.
What?
Yes, he
No.
got the
What?
Rona.
What?
Oh my God. Nico.
No, I didn't. You keep talking. I gotta check my
Yes.
phone. Kill this dead air. Oh my God, what? Pedro got. Because I was
Yes.
thinking, I was
Google
like,
it
you
while
guys
I
been
talk.
doing that
I want you to Google it right now. I'll kill the dead air.
too.
Bro, yeah, he
Wow.
got it. And
Pedro.
yes, Pedro
Yo,
Munoz. That's
Pedro
the
got it. Masterval's fighting. I want to see, and now I'm scared. See, that's bad mood. Like, I want to
Mike
see this
Brown
fight so
got it.
bad, and I don't want to go out to like a fight party, or not a fight party. I definitely want to go to a fight party, but like a house and like catch Corona trying to watch this fight. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I'm trying to tell you. It can be anybody. And I don't know. Like,
We should do a
everyone thinks
BJJ Goons illegal pay-per-view stream. Let's drop the Cash App. We'll do it. I got.
we
We'll
need a
get like you'll get
scammer.
a
I
Zoom.
know we'll have to have one scammer. We have to have a scammer on that listens to the show that can give us the hookup for free UFC and ESPN Plus. And you guys may say, "Oh, you're
It's
stealing
not
from the
pay-per-view.
UFC, huh?"
It's not pay-per-view.
Yeah, it is. It's on
Oh yeah,
ESPN Plus.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like you can
Yeah,
you
so
can, if ESPN Plus is $5. The problem is you still got to pay for the pay-per-view on top of that. That's the
exactly,
65,
exactly,
$80. I was like
exactly.
ESPN. I was like, I got ESPN Plus. I was like, no,
You gotta pay
no.
for the yeah. So any of our scammer fans, you gotta hook us up. If you really are down for the cause and the content, you gotta hit us up. I'm gonna ask you after you're done finding out that our friend Pedro, the young Punisher, got the Rona, if whether or not you're doing underground training. It's
Oh. Oh.
are you doing underground training? Are you?
Like I was like, yeah, I'm doing underground training. I'm
Well,
like, yeah.
are you afraid of catching the Rona? Or you just don't care. You're just rolling the dice. Just roll the dice.
Oh, I'm somewhat, yeah, I mean, I'm worried, but it is definitely, there's a group of about, they tell me there's 12 people. I haven't met all 12 of them yet. So there's like a group of 12 people total that are allowed to come, and only 8 people can train at a time. Um, so it's still a pretty small group. Like, it doesn't change in and out a lot. Mostly, like, most of the people have already been tested. And yeah, so I was in quarantine for a really long time, and I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't training. Like, I have a small place that I live, so like I can only work out outside. So we went through a period where it was cold, where it was rainy, and now where it's just like really hot, and so it's like it's hard for me to work out or like stay in any kind of conditioning. So like when I found out they were training, and if you really want to know where I'm training, it is exactly in the episode where I
Well,
talk. What? No, no, you got to go and look at it. No, I'll give it if you want to know, because ain't nobody
then watch
getting
the
in. You
episode.
can know. And I told him, like, because I posted something on Instagram, and like the person was like, oh, I would reshare it, but people will know. And I was like, yeah, I feel you. It's because y'all own the place. Like, people ask me, and I'll lie to right to their face and be like, nah, I ain't training. Nope, because you ain't getting in. Like, you're not gonna be allowed in. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's whatever, you know. But it's good training, and it's exactly where I said, the person that I said it. Like, we had an episode, I think it was the first episode that we did from quarantine, and I was like, yo, this is how I want to come back to jiu-jitsu. And I was blessed. That was exactly how I came back to the jiu-jitsu. And then they train like 7 days a week. So they're like, well, first of all, and I talked to them, they're like, well, we gotta talk to everybody and see if you can get in. But they're good friends of mine, so I definitely got in. One of them was like my size, so that's why he's like a really good drilling partner for me. So they're like, you just got to make sure that you come. And so like anybody knows that like TLI, when you're on the competition team, like you come every day. So like they also train early as shit in the morning. So it's at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I had to start getting up at like 5 o'clock. So that kind of helped me change my whole schedule. So now I just get up at 5. I go and train at 7. And like we drove for 2 hours, and it's nice because if you listen to the last episode of the podcast, Master Donnie talks about the worm guard and talking and training with Jamil. and he talks about how he took back the keys from them. So like at TLI, you know, they take away a lot of keys from me, you know, like I have like some basic stuff that I'm supposed to be drilling. So like out there, I'm doing like a lot of worm guard stuff, a lot of different stuff like no-gi. They forced me to do no-gi. So anybody that knows me notoriously knows that I avoid no-gi in every way, shape, or form. Except I'll go and compete no-gi, and I'll be so salty and cranky when I lose, but I will not train no-gi. So I don't know why that's a thing. But like, so I've been training, like, we'll do an hour no-gi, an hour a gi, and then we have like a 2-hour break. And then we do an hour of just like passing, like kind of king of the mat style. So like fish tank. And then on Saturdays and Sundays we actually have rolling. So it's been like really nice training and a really like decent way to like fill my day. And then once I get there at 7, like I'm kind of like locked into the gym from 7 in the morning till like 2 o'clock when I leave. So, you know, it's still kind of quarantine. Like I have all my food there. I'm still like, stores and stuff are opening up in DC, but you know, I still stay to myself, you know. I'm not out and like people are out at the bars, people are going out to happy hour and stuff, you know. But like, and the group of us, we also know like we're also mainly self-contained at home other than training.
What are some of the goals that you have for the intermediate until we can go back outside?
Man, I mean, one thing I really enjoyed about training here also is like, you know, I've been seeing all the things that I have been working on, like all the passing, the pressure, you know, like killing the hips. Like I've been going to training and experimenting with like all of the stuff that I have been working on. So that's been really cool. Like, because you made me my my map, and then Master Lloyd has the grappling game plan where he talks about like really mapping out your game plan. So between, you know, going to training and like trying out stuff that I learned, you know, 4 months ago, you know, because like they like, you know, we always have certain things. So it's like one pass I really do, like one sweep that I really do, and then like a couple of concepts that I always work on. And it's been like 4 months and I've been like in the gym. So be able to see like, oh, can I still do this? Or, you know, does that 10,000 reps things that Master Lloyd talk about like really work? It's like really cool to see how like, you know, like what stayed in the 4 months of not training. So like in this intermittent time where I can't go out and compete, I really just kind of been trying to analyze my game like a little bit more, see what works, see what doesn't work. I've been really playing with like the worm guard, particularly because I have a person at TLI I want to try to use it on because she doesn't like the one sweep I like. So, you know, that's just my little tricky BJJ revenge kind of thing. But, you know, just also just trying to like map everything out. I've been doing like a lot of illegal stuff like calf slicers too, and just having fun, because sometimes, you know, jiu-jitsu, when you're training for competition and you're always trying to be like world champion or you're focusing on something, it can get stressful. So, you know, it's really nice to just, you know, have fun with it again.
Yeah. Like I said before, it's pretty hard to have goals right now. Like I have dreams. I have dreams. I have dreams all the time, but it just makes me more pissed off when I think about these dreams that I have, because it's gone. It's gone. It'll make you wonder, like, if you're gonna do something else with your life. But I don't think that's exclusive for our sport. I think a lot of people are going through the same thing with their lives. Like there's so much uncertainty, and you want to be like, maybe I should change. Maybe I should do something different, you know? But at the same time, I have dreams and it gives me time to plot. But as far as set out goals, I kind of really don't have none. You know what I mean? Like there's no point. I want to win ADCC. I'm planning to do it, but part of me is like, is there really a point? Are we gonna have an ADCC? You get what I'm saying? Like mentally, it's kind of hard to get revved up when it's like, yeah, it's gonna be in 425 days. Is it? Is it? Like I'm gonna keep working out, but will there be like what do you see the future of the sport now? Like, for me, is there gonna be the sport as we know it, or we're gonna just keep on doing underground fights for time and memoriam until there's a vaccine? Like, where do you see the future of the sport headed for competition?
I mean, competition wise, I mean, from what we see with Fight to Win and what they're doing with coming and bringing it back as it is, I think it's definitely going to come back. I mean, is it going to be full capacity like it was at the Worlds? No, possibly not for a while, but people are going to try to find a way, um, whether it's the best way or it's the safest way. Like, it's definitely going to come back, whether we want it to or not, whether it's safe or not. I think as for like goals for athletes, it's like, I don't know, you set like goals to be like world champion, but that's kind of like, you know, that's just like a federation. Like, that's like, I don't know, it could go bankrupt. I don't think IBJJF would ever go bankrupt. But when you talk about like ADCC coming back, like, or certain companies, like, you know, some companies aren't making it through COVID. They're going bankrupt and they will not exist anymore.
Oh,
So it's like the competition for an athlete is irrelevant. I think like if you want to be the best as an athlete, you just need to be the best as an athlete. Like, I mean, like if you're the best at a guillotine, if you're the best at a takedown and whatnot, it doesn't matter if you're going to ADCC or any no-gi competition, you're still going to be the best. Like, I think, you know, your goal can just still, I mean, the problem with not having competition is like you don't have a way to test it. Like that's what Master Dani was saying about competition. How do you know if what you're learning is effective? So if it doesn't come back on a bigger scale, it's definitely going to come back in an underground scale. Like everything we do somehow comes underground. There's underground fighting even with the legal MMA. So it'll definitely come back. I think it's just important for each fighter to find a way, the safest way for them to be in shape, you know, uh, however they feel comfortable. You know, if you're really worried about getting coronavirus and like you get anxiety, then then there's no point in you trying to go when your team starts training if you're gonna have like a nervous breakdown. Like, that's not gonna help you mentally be a good athlete. Like, everybody has to find out what works best for them to develop as an athlete.
you see any competitions or matches lately that you liked on the underground? Yo, they had Grapple Fest and it was in Europe, right? And I'm like, I'm so jealous. Like, y'all acted right. Like, y'all get to have fun. We can't have fun here. My mom lives in Germany. I can't even go see Mom Dukes because we're banned. Like, I don't have any siblings, but I feel like this is like if your sibling fucks up and then like you get in trouble, and then you're just like, I wanted to go to Oktoberfest. They canceled it, but like I want to go to Amsterdam. I want to go to Germany. Like I want to go. I want to go see shit. Like I'm not used to being on lockdown like this, Nico. There have been times where 3 weeks, 3 different countries, and now I'm stuck in Merlin. Come on, bro. Come on. And it's not even like I can go have like fun Maryland experiences. Like I can't even go to my favorite bar. It's like because y'all didn't want to act right. You were so pressed on not being inconvenienced. Now everyone's inconvenienced. And I looked at Grapple Fest. I'm like, oh, they're going hard. Like they have fans. They have like an event. It's on pay per view. They had Tayani versus Fion, which is a good match. Tayani definitely won that shit, by the way. Like Tayani's a beat.
Oh, yeah.
Tayani's a beat. She was. I'm gonna say something kind of controversial, but I'm gonna say it. Tiny won that match handedly, and she put on a great display, and she put it on Fionn. And I'm gonna get a lot of flack because Tiny's bigger than her. But I'm gonna say this: I don't give credit to little people when they go against big people, and I'm not. I think it's impressive in that you did it and like you took a challenge, but it's a win-win situation at the end of the day. I don't give you props if you put yourself in a win-win situation because there's no pressure. And if you get washed, I'm not going to diss the person that washed you because they're bigger.
Yeah.
You signed the waiver. You put yourself in a win-win because if you lose, you could just say the person was bigger, stronger. If you win, you look like David knocking out Goliath or killing Goliath. So there's that. And little people kind of have an advantage because all you have to do is let it go to the judge's decision and you will 9 times out of 10 win. There's advantages to being a little person. Like, for me to be like, oh, I'll just beat up any old little person. It's not that easy. I can't wash Jamil. Like, I can't beat him up like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They're little. They can fit in little crevices. Like, if I go against a big person, I know, like, the range of motion that I need to pass them is different as opposed to a little person. It's like, and they just make
Oh, yeah, we're flexible. Yeah, yeah. We're fast. We're flexible. We're hard to catch, you know?
I watch a lot of film, and I notice, like, little people, it's like a totally different sport. Like they're doing jujitsu, but they're doing different styles of it. It's a totally different game, totally different style. I look at film. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm just sitting there like, that'll never happen. Like, you know what I mean? Did you see those matches? What are your thoughts on big versus little?
I mean, I'm a little person. Like my constant struggle in life is trying to figure out how to survive and take down bigger people, like in the most effective way possible, you know? So yeah, like, and then today always says, you know, jujitsu is like the sport of the ant conquering the cockroach. So I'm a big proponent of that. But no, I get like crushed a lot by bigger people. Yeah, definitely I get crushed a lot. I've been working on it. I've been trying to work on my frames, work on my guard, work on different effective ways to get out from under them and stay on top. But like, I think realistically, I like the way, like, whenever I ask Malachi if he's gonna fight, absolutely. Like, it's always a very strategic thing. He's like, no, I'm not trying to get hurt. I have something to do. Like, if you're in an upper belt and maybe you have a game plan, maybe like if I was sitting there and I had like a game plan against Tayani, I would be like, yeah, like I'd fight her. I think I could fight her again. Or like Ginger Ninja, like 3 times before, like we were on the team, like we were on the same team, we competed against each other, and she's a lot bigger than me, man. So like, nah, I think I could tweak this, and like I always come up with like a game plan, and then I'm like, nah, I could beat her, and it's like no disrespect, but it's like you got to have kind of confidence in the technique, but at the same point, like you can feel it, and it's like no, they were like they muscled out of it. Like sometimes like, you can feel it if they're stronger or your technique's not good enough, like so that's just the reality of it. Like size does matter. Size does matter.
I feel like being a little person, it requires you to be way more strategical. And I think that's why the matches tend to be a little bit slower and boring, because you've come up in a scenario where your whole life you're little. Like if you're a rooster weight guy, there was probably no point in your life where you were big. You never were big. So your whole life, even when you're training, you're the smallest guy. So every role you got to be like, there's a chance this person could squish me. So I got to think. And if you're going against other thinkers, it's going to be like computer shit. Like it's going to be like, if I do this and here, and then I put this foot here, and then that's why I think Bruno Malfacini doesn't get enough credit, because you have to go against super technical guys and you're a beast athlete. And he went up a weight division. Like his shit works for 10 years in a row against the most technical guys. And he's an athletic phenom. So if we're going to do the pound for pound thing, we could say Bruno Malfacini was 180 pounds, proportionally speaking. There's very few people that would have a chance against him. Yeah.
Just gotta have a good strategy. You gotta have a good strategy. I think like one funny thing that I always try to do, like if I'm trying to fight like a bigger person like your size, and like I want to like actually like submit them, like before I ever try to like pass their guard or submit them, like one thing I'll try to get them to do is like lift up my whole body weight. Like if they try to butterfly sweep me and I can base up, so like all of my weight is on their butterfly hook. So that way like it'll tire them out and I don't have to do anything. I let gravity do it. So if I just do that and I could stay there for 30 seconds and then I could hit your other leg for 30 seconds and then I could have like you hold me up on a hand for 30 seconds, like you're eventually gonna get tired. Like I'm never gonna be stronger than you, but if you have to lift up 135 pounds for 3 minutes, I mean 120 pounds for 3 minutes.
We'll edit that out.
For 3 minutes.
We'll do a voiceover like
100. And especially if you're not a competitor, if you are just the average blue belt in an average class, that big person has probably had some beers this week. Make them lift you up and then go for your neck. You know, people, you can't just focus on the jiu-jitsu. You got to think about stuff like that when you're small.
I've never thought about it like that. When I started jiu-jitsu, I was 170 pounds. So I'm already like a lightweight. So I'm already above average normal human being. So I never had those problems.
Yeah, no, I do.
So moving on it's pretty heavy subject matter we were talking about before, but the De La Riva situation. What are your thoughts?
Oh man,
Do
we
do
haven't
you go ahead?
we haven't dropped the clip. We were asking Master Donnie, like, cause his interview was super long, so we broke it up. So like, Master Donnie didn't even know about it. So like if anybody still doesn't know, like first, Claudia DeVal came out with like her statement on an interview with who was it with Tim? Do you remember?
I might be butchering it. I've been studying my Portuguese on Duolingo. Shout out to me. Paula Diana.
Paula Diana. All right. So she came out with
Ooh,
like,
did I pronounce it right? Did I do
yeah,
it
that
right?
was good. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, Paula Diana.
Shout out to Duolingo. Y'all gonna sponsor the podcast one day. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Nico. Let's be
Yeah.
serious.
So she had an interview where she talked about her experiences with De La Hiva and everything that happened and her accusations. And it since then he has like terminated all female memberships at his gym, or not female membership. So I guess the way that they politicked it was he ended all um I'm my all these languages are like clicking in my head. It's like not bisex, it's not unisex, like co-ed. There we go.
Mixed gender, co-ed.
I'm like all the
I,
prefixes and suffixes. It's like, all right. So he ended all the co-ed classes in his academy. So that pretty much kicked out all of the women. And then I've read articles.
because
Hmm?
because they said they weren't gonna mix any of the genders, and he said if they're gonna have women's class, they're gonna have to pay an extra fee. So virtually, he ended the women's program. No women allowed.
Yeah. So I think I read something too that said like there had been women's classes previously on the schedule, or they existed, but like they didn't really exist. They were just kind of on the schedule because they had to pay like a mat fee or maybe an additional monthly fee. I think it might have been like 2 extra fees, or I don't know. And I didn't like check into it too much, and I didn't know who wrote the article. I'm not sure when it came out because I know like people will throw shade, so I can't say it was something that I have like followed up on. But it's just an interesting move to make, like with the accusation and then following up, just cutting out women. Like, would you like? I don't know. How do you feel about him doing something like that?
I did a lot of reading about this, and me paraphrasing right now wouldn't do the subject justice. So I implore everyone to read the Jiu-Jitsu Times article about it and to watch Paula Diana's interview. I watched it before, but before this episode, I watched it again. And, in the interview in question, Claudia talks about her background and her life growing up. And she says this is all what she says. I'm of the opinion that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The team that I'm on, we've been called every name under the book. And I think that it's only fair that we let them handle it on their own. Both of them, they try to arbitrate, do whatever they think to get justice. I'm not going to say whether someone's guilty or not. But what I will say is I saw the interview, and I learned a lot about Claudia. I didn't know that she got picked on growing up. I didn't know about her relationship with other family members, how she didn't feel close with her. She was close with her dad, she says, and but it wasn't as affectionate. And she basically found jiu-jitsu as a way to empower herself, which is fantastic. I think women should have more ability or more chances to feel empowered just for the world we live in. It gave her a sense of family. And according to her, she looked at De La Hiva as a father figure. And it's really sad, actually. It's like really fucked me up inside because she says that she went through a hard breakup. Her pet was sick, her pet cat. I guess she loved it. She was very vulnerable. She says that Ricardo De La Hiva called her and said he was coming there to get a massage from her. She said that she looked at him as a father figure. And so they end up having sexual intercourse. She says that she felt uncomfortable. She said that she didn't say no. However, she says that her body language would have dictated or shown him that she felt uncomfortable. They had sexual intercourse. After the fact, he was acting inappropriately, saying certain things, charged her a fee to even train there, even though before she hadn't. Yeah, charged her a fee. She said she couldn't. He said she couldn't wear her sponsor gi, and it fucked up with her money or her sponsor. Really sad shit. And once again, I'm only paraphrasing. Everyone needs to go watch the video. I'm imploring you, as somebody that does a podcast, I'm not saying I have all the information, so it'd be inappropriate and wrong for me to say just go by what I say. Watch the damn interview. Go to Jiu-Jitsu Times and read it for yourself. Once again, I'm paraphrasing. Now, that's her side of the story. She said that she felt uncomfortable, and it's kind of brave on her part. If this shit is true, that's really brave for her to go online, and it's not like Barbara Walters, but she went online in front of thousands of people. She put her neck on the line and said that this happened. And if it's true, kudos to her. That's really ballsy. And, you know, more people should feel comfortable coming out and saying what happened to him. Now, on the other hand, of course, De La Riva denies it. He says that everything is not true. None of it is true. And he's disappointed she would say that. And the final part, what we just talked about, was kicking women out. What do I think about it? I think it's all bad, Nico. And as someone that tries to play the middle, in that I'm not going to pick a side, and I'm just going to let all the information come about. And if something comes up, something comes up. I think it's all bad. I think it's bad that if it happened, because although in the rawest sense of the term, he didn't rape her, so to speak, he kind of did, if it is true, because he took advantage of her being vulnerable to him. And if it was blatant that she wasn't comfortable, he took it. For lack of a better term, he took it, and it's fucked up, and it's something that happens a lot more than people will want to admit. And it's commonplace in situations where someone has a position of authority or has a guru, like people look at you as a guru. So when that happens, people are willing to let shit slide, and people are willing to trust you. If this is true, that's bad. If it didn't happen the way she said, or it didn't happen at all, it's bad because this man's reputation is ruined. If it didn't happen. And we already got people talking about, and I joked about it, but it's kind of true, like, are we going to have to change the name of the guard? Mm-hmm. Are people going to have to disassociate themselves with this person? That's bad too. And I'm sitting here like, what do we do as people? And that's the fucked up part about this situation, and it's the fucked up part of the way we live in and the way our society has become with the internet. What I mean by that is, there's one side, there's the other side, there's the truth. Now that we are in the social media era, now that it's all online, we're trying each other in the court of public opinion. And when that happens in situations like this, at the end of the day, it's hard enough to get justice in this country or in the world. But now, whether there's justice served or not, people are going to stay in their game. They're going to stay on their mob. They're going to be the pro De La Riva. They're going to be the pro Claudia. And if and when we find out the truth, sad part is, a whole lot of people are going to be wrong, and they're going to be strong in an opinion. And it's unfortunate. That's my main thoughts, you know. It's real sad. It's real sad. And it's kind of like, I get the speaking out movement. I get the Me Too movement. But it's also like, man, like, when we put our bit, that's why I'm so like, I don't even like talking about this type of stuff, because you put it out in the ether, and I don't want it out in the ether. I want them to, I don't like when it's a show on social media and when all this stuff is out, because it kind of hinders justice in a way. Do you understand what I'm saying, Nico? It kind of is like, it's going to be hard when you put everything in the court of public opinion, and it's like, it's all bad. it's all bad. Like, let's say, for instance, right, we find out that De La Riva did this, right? And if he did it, fuck
I
him.
mean, there's no really a way to find out.
If that's the thing, there's no way.
So,
There's no way of
and
knowing.
then, like, when you say, like, his reputation is just, like, destroyed, it's like I haven't really seen, like, yeah, people are mad, but I haven't seen any evidence of, like, if you Google, like, you don't see that much news. You actually see, like, he's already, like, there's already, like, counter evidence, like, oh, there are articles saying, like, we didn't end the female classes, that we're just remodeling the gym, you know, like, he was in a position where, like, I mean, if it had happened to another team, like, it wouldn't be the same situation. It would kind of have been any kind of scandal. If it had happened to, you know, anybody from the favela, it happened to a black team, you know, like, it might not have gone under so easily. But, like, you know, there's a lot of people that are just out to believe, like, no, he didn't kick them out. They might just be remodeling or this or that. Like, but, you know, some people, when they get that negative response, like, how could you kick out women? They're able to produce a better image. You know, they had a quick comeback, you know?
And you know what? It's a mob mentality on either side. People are just steadfast. It's steadfast, and then we'll never know. And it's just all, that's what I mean by it's all bad. And I'm in preface everything I say by saying, like, I know people where they've gotten jammed up and it's not true. I know way too many people where this has happened to them, whether they're as children, as grown women. And I've seen both sides, and it's like, it's just bad all around. But I want to ask you, because in this situation, I don't want to be that guy that tries to mansplain. I mean, I know you asked me, but I want to ask your opinion as a woman, because I'm ignorant of the life and the trials and tribulations of a woman, let alone a woman in a male-dominated sport. Is stuff like this rampant? Is this commonplace? Is jiu-jitsu some place where it's not comfortable for women?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's jujitsu. I would also say, like, Brazilian culture and American culture are very different. I would also say Brazilians would habitually make me feel uncomfortable, like, whether they would like to hear it or not. Um, I would say sexual harassment is a norm in Brazil.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you consider sexual harassment? Because a lot of, that's a problem with social media too, and like the discourse now, especially because we're locked down, people have different opinions of what exactly it is. So as a woman, what do you consider sexual harassment?
Um,
It's a fine line, right? Is it a fine line? Is it not? Is there a gray area? What do you?
there can be, like, yeah, there's definitely gray areas, but then there's just, like, outright blatant, like, I think, like, in Brazilians have, like, for Duolingo 101, we have this verb in Brazil, or in Portuguese, it's called ficar, or a person, which is a ficante, ficar, which means to
Picancy.
stay, or ficante. So you
Okay.
could have, like, your girlfriend, or you could have your ficante, and it's just like a person. It's just like sex with no strings. So there's, like, an actual verb for this, and there's an actual name for the person that you are constantly with that is not your girlfriend. It is just the person that you sleep with. So a lot of what I would consider sexual harassment would just be a typical Brazilian trying to ficar because they think that's normal. But, like, me as an American, I consider that sexual harassment. So, like, when I say there's a cultural difference, you know, somebody else might be down, somebody else might think that funny, but if I have to tell you no, 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 no over again, you are now sexually harassing me.
You're just being a sex pest.
What? Yeah.
He's being a
So, like,
sex
and
pest.
they might brush it off and they might think it's normal, but, like, to me as an American, it's just like, like, I don't got time for that, especially since, like, when I was down there, it was just like, you know, jujitsu. So, you know, you get a lot of people like that. You get a lot of people that would approach you like that, and you could just brush them off and they would go away. But, like, me as an American, I'd be like, you know, that's kind of disrespectful, but whatever. Could, like, just focus on training or focus on whatever, like I've definitely, like when you talk about like Daisy Fresh and all this and that, like, I've lived that kind of lifestyle in Brazil where I would just go and like I've lived in fight houses, like first I lived in the favela and then I left the favela and I went to go live with PRVT, where Jessica Andrade trains. And I was down there for a couple months and they just had like a fight house and it was just, like a bunch of, guys, like none of them in their 30s. I think like the oldest black belt was maybe like 26, still like pretty immature. So, it is what it is. Like I made that decision to put myself in a situation where like I might be exposed to things because I knew I was strong enough to deal with it because I wanted to be a pro fighter, and I'm American. I have money. I have resources. Like, if anything happened, like I could call my dad and be like, I need money for food. I need to get back to Rio, So I could very easily see how somebody that's chasing that dream could be in a situation where they have nothing but what their coach depends on them. Like, even me as an American, like many times in Brazil, like I had a boxing coach, and he always took care of me, like, and he would be that kind of way. He's always trying to sleep with girls and this and that, but like, he always had my back. Like he would always, take care of me. So I could see how somebody could be in that kind of position, helping somebody out and overstep their boundaries. And if you are not strong enough or you don't know, like to me, I consider it very cultural. Like to me, it was very weird that, people could be so sexually aggressive. So I could see it as a Brazilian girl, like when you grow up and you just kind of think that's normal, it'd be very hard to kind of, even think that you need to speak out about it. So I think, when people are talking about what do you do in situations like this, how do you send your girl to train, or even when we're talking about like the thing with racism, people are worried about going back to like their gyms and how to be like around those people, and people ask me how I do it, and it's like I stay the fuck away from them. Like I don't let negative people in my life, and I know not everybody has that luxury to just cut people off or not go to this gym, or I train at TLI, which is a great place, or I train at Teredes in the favela, which is a great environment. I surround myself with people that care about me. But I think it's also important, to look at like Claudia as an example. More people need to say, like, if you are uncomfortable, you need to be able to say something about it. Like you're never going to be in a perfect situation. You will never find a perfect person. You will never find a perfect team. You will always be susceptible to some kind of violence or some kind of, harassment, so it's really important to instill in people, you need to seek people that are supportive, and you need to advocate for yourself. Like you need to be able to say when something is uncomfortable, and even if that means people are going to speak out against you, because it can't be easy for somebody like even like think Claudia is famous, and how hard it must be for her to speak out against De La Riva. Think about if it was anybody else, so I think, whether it's right or whether it happened or whether it not happened, like that example that she's setting for people to, you have to open up these conversations. It's essential.
Silence is acceptance.
Exactly. And like the unwillingness to listen to her story, even if you want to side with De La Riva, some people are just unwilling to hear. And I think, that causes so many problems.
I wish that our community and the people that are charged with being journalists really took these type of situations more seriously, and I wish they would handle it better. Why is it that I haven't heard too many other podcasts talk about it? I'm not holding us at that high of a standard. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just a couple people that like talking shit. Basically, this basically started as a podcast of me and DJ sipping a little bit of alcohol, talking shit on this boom mic right here in my basement. But I would think people that are journalists and get paid to write about the stories in jiu-jitsu talk about the stories in jiu-jitsu and don't sugarcoat it. And one of the questions that I had, and one of the things we wanted to talk about, was canceling, whether canceling people actually really works. Because in jiu-jitsu, it's kind of an old boys club. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Definitely. So if you're a person with enough clout, enough power, enough connections in the media, some of these things I feel like can be covered up or just flat out ignored. And Master Donnie said it last podcast. You got to think why some stories are big, why some stories are small, and why some stories are never heard. What do you think about that?
I mean, if you're like stories in jiu-jitsu in particular,
We can go stories in jiu-jitsu in particular. I mean,
I mean, it all depends on like where you're looking. Like, if you wanted to talk about like jiu-jitsu news, there's like monopoly on it pretty much, and like love it or hate it, like Flow Grappling controls like a lot of like the news, what's free, or you have like Gracie Mag, or you only have a certain number of news resources. But if you think of any other news, like a newspaper, every city has a newspaper. Why would you expect Flow Grappling to cover the world of news when any other news source would have a by city, by country like media?
mm-hmm.
If you want more news, then you need to like create more platforms for news. So like more content, like there's a shortage, like jujitsu is new. There's not a lot of media on it. And then even in the major sports, like I was saying, with the WNBA and Senator Lowoff, who was making these very clear statements where she doesn't feel that sports are politics. And why does she probably feel like that? Like, where do most people of color have a voice? Like, their platforms are largely in sports, music industries. So you want to take the only platform that people have to speak to their people on something positive other than entertainment away.
But with the media, I agree. You got to look at what works for you. And I think part of the way we can combat that is the racism and the sexual pest problem that we have, sex pests. We got to hit their pockets. Like, if you don't fuck with somebody, you don't have to go to their gym and you don't have to pay for their shit, or you can just refuse to watch them. Because what we've seen in the last 4 months is that if you hit their pockets, they have to change. If you say, we're not going to go here, we're going to boycott you, and you stick with it, they got to respect you. It's just scary, though, because, and I feel for Claudia from her perspective, because a lot of people are afraid to speak out and call names because these people have power. We are in a situation in this old boys club in which people don't know the outlets that support people like them. And the people in the old boys club have so much power that people are shook to call them out for the most grotesque, over the top, just blatant fuck shit that they say. They do. They do.
That's why I like Master Donnie. He's like, I'm just going to tell it like it is.
Yes, but Master Donnie's in a position where he can do that. He's in that position where you can come Master Donnie all you want, but you can't. What are you going to do with Master Donnie? Like, what can you really do? Can you really cancel Master Donnie? Is there anything that you have on Master Donnie? Can you fuck his money up? Can you fuck his career? No. However, there are a lot of people, like in Claudia's situation, or in different situations, where if you want to call the guy that just so happens to quote Hitler or Nazis or say racist stuff and go on these tirades, if you want to go at them, some people just won't do it because the juice is not worth the squeeze. You will get blackballed. Think about it. Think about what can happen. You can get blackballed. Like, let's say, for instance, too, people get on, like, there's a whole thing now where minorities are a part of certain teams whose leadership is saying certain things, and people are looking at them like they're crazy. And on one hand, I can say, you're a fucking sellout. Like, why are you still repping this dude? Or why are you co-signing this guy? Why aren't you dissing him in public? Why aren't you checking him, right? But then I thought about it. If we want to be more mature and more fair, these dudes have money and influence. That both benefits of being a martial artist and a guru, right? The people in charge. The anti-Creonte culture and the martial arts ideal of loyalty makes it difficult for guys to leave. If you leave, you can lose friends, you can lose training partners, You can be blackballed, and then when you leave an association, if you're an athlete, those seminars dry up. Those fucking with your money. It's fucking with your personal life. If you leave, if you call them out, your coach, all hell is breaking loose.
I mean, like, I feel like a lot of Nazis would have used that to justify their actions too. But
oh, so you're not giving any quarter to people that still preside under people that are just Nazi, fascist, racist, xenophobic, transphobic.
I don't give respect to people that are worried about cancel culture when when somebody is violating your values and you're worried about being canceled. That's an issue. And
Okay.
that's how things like genocide happen. Like, that's how, like,
Well,
why are you worried? Why are you worried if you're like, what do I do? Like, why are people coming to me like, oh, I found out my coach is a neo-Nazi and he's a horrible person and I'm a fascist. What should I do? Stay the hell away from him. And then like stop paying him. Like, you're worried about what people will say to you or what your teammates are going to think about you, and you're financing hate. Like, you're worried about them canceling you when he's the person that needs to be marginalized. But like, you're so, like, people are so worried because like they have more money or they have more power, and like, yeah, that's the reality of it. But you know, again, people don't like to be uncomfortable. They don't like to sacrifice things. They don't like to be like, okay, well, like, maybe, and like, I live in the luxury of, there's several teams around here, so maybe like there isn't an alternative. But like, maybe, like, I've moved to Brazil because I wanted to be better in jiu-jitsu. So if you're surrounded by racists and you want to train jiu-jitsu, then relocate and be in a place, because if that's really the situation where you're surrounded by people that don't make you comfortable, then that's not good for your mental health, and that's not going to be good for your children's mental health. So that's probably not a place where you need to be.
Straight up. If you're in a place where all the gym you're surrounded by racists, you need to leave that area.
I mean, you
It's
could
not a
stay there
game.
and incite change, start your own gym as well. I understand some people may not, like, you could be the change you want to see or you could leave, but like, you can't be worried about or being canceled if what you believe is or what you're doing is right.
Facts. Straight up. I have built, we've already started the Legacy Martial Arts Association with that in mind. We're trying to build we are building a pipeline of Black athletes, Black combat athletes, more specifically grapplers, so judo guys, wrestlers, jiu-jitsu guys. And I'm starting to see that there are a lot of people like-minded and have the same goals, are anti-racist and anti-fascist. And that's what the Legacy Martial Arts Association stands for. I had no idea that there were so many Black-owned or co-owned academies. We're compiling a list now for the website of prominent Black belts, and we're concerned that we're going to miss somebody because there's so many people. Like, we have general body meetings for the association, and like, there's so many people. Like, you know, Zoom meetings, there's typically not that many people, but like, there's pages and pages of little squares of people's faces. And I'm starting to learn that we don't have to take it anymore. We don't have to take it anymore, you know? I have fan questions. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in the Legacy Martial Arts Association, go to legacymartialarts.org, legacymartialartsassociation.org, or any of our Instagram, Facebook, all our social media. But we're going to put a link in the bio of this video. But fan questions, we had a lot, Nico. We had a lot of fan questions.
Let's finish it up with a couple. We are over an hour so far. And speaking of the legacy thing, we eventually got to talk about like some designers and stuff, like some other stuff afterwards. So how many questions we got there?
We have, well, let's say we have 4 because a couple of them are repeats of what we already went over.
Yeah.
First one is find me a BJJ/Pro Wrestling Bay. This is from Dante the Scrub on Instagram.
At Blast Double Poppy, how you get that Bay status?
No. He didn't call me Bay. He's saying he's trying to find a girl.
I
He's
know.
trying to
Oh, well,
find.
he wants to be somebody's bae or something. I don't know.
Oh,
He's
he
trying to
wants to
get
be
that
somebody's
status. He's
jits
trying to get
bag.
that swag, that level of drip.
Okay.
How do
All
you?
right. So find him. How do I find? Well, I think he wants me to pick one for him, like a girl that a young woman. And I preface this by saying, if you hit up these young ladies in the DMs, please be respectful. And if you get deaded, everyone that's listening, if you're in the DMs and you don't get a response, it's okay. Just move on. All right. Don't be a sex pest. We don't want you on the summer jam screen all over social media. But I mean, I think Dante. I think as far as just skill wise and just being beautiful, I'd say Bia Mosquito. I think she'd be right up your alley, buddy. Yeah, Bia Mosquito. I don't know her Instagram name, but I think that would be a good one. And as far as finding a jiu-jitsu bay, the best way is to train. And the more you train, the better you get. The better you get, the more attention you get. The more attention you get, the more girls start to notice you. So, do you have any suggestions for him, Nico? Any suggestions for him finding a jiu-jitsu or wrestling bay?
Oh man, something that's always worked for me is taking a camera to a tournament.
Word?
Professional camera. Also, I have Flow Grappling recently changed their uniform shirts. So I have about 7 small Flow Grappling shirts. If you would like to fake being a Flow Grappling employee, get yourself a camera and a shirt. It's a guaranteed date, gentlemen. DM me, no new Nico. No new Nico.
Nico, have you ever used your photography skills to bag somebody?
Um, well, not necessarily to bag somebody, but it is how I met Diego Bispo, and uh he had a camera at a tournament in Rio, and he spoke good English, and that was like when I was getting into photography. And then we started like playing chess together, and then he ended up moving to Virginia Beach, and I was from Virginia, and he has an academy here. So we started a really good friendship. Also with like Sinistro Laceda, he came. He was a photographer. He was doing work with like Terere. So like we have like a really good friendship from, just me learning photography and following him around when he did that. So, cameras in jiu-jitsu are a good way to, make friends or find a ficanche.
Is that a negative term, ficanche, or is it just like a jump off? Is it like a mat rat, like a ring rat, like a girl that is that negative term? Is that passe or
I
is it
don't,
okay?
I think it's just, it's like a friend with, it's like saying a friend with benefits.
All right.
Amigos
So
con derecho sin derecho de tenerte. Like,
Dante, that's our advice for you finding a ficanche. Next question. Do you feel there's bigotry among the elite BJJ that people don't want to admit? Hell yeah. Are you on Facebook? This is from Mac 1979. Hell yeah. All you got to do is go on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and you will see the most disgusting word salad, long drawn out posts that basically amount to I hate black people and foreigners. And it just is so bad and people just take up for it. It's like, bro, just call me the N word so we can get it over with. Just say, I hate you, nigger, and I'll be all right. At least I can know not to fuck with you. And I don't have to read your long ass post trying to justify it. Nico. Why you
no,
like, you know it's true. True. Just tell me you don't like me. Please. Please.
that's just a yes, just a solid yes. Just yes, and again, try to surround yourself with positive people and just keep those people out of your lives. Stay out of the comments. Stay out of people's comments.
Block them. I
Mm.
see all these people trying to be like, oh, kumbaya, or you can listen to other people's opinions and not disappoint. Like, no, man, like Facebook, it's not real life. Like, I'm going to just block you. I can't block. There are people in my life right now that I wish I could block, but I can't. But I can do it on Facebook. Block their asses.
Do it. Do
Next question. Your pros and cons to introducing martial arts into the American school system as a PE elective. That's from J3. Nico, you teach. What are your thoughts?
So this is a little bit difficult and will depend specifically on the school district and the state and the city where you live, because all schools have different requirements for letting people near young children, of course. Like right now in DC, I know in DC, we just upped our requirements for having volunteers come in for an hour a night where they need to get their fingerprints in the FBI system. You need to have a TB test. And then, of course, on like, aside from like background checks, you need to have some kind of program. So, like, whether it be like a nonprofit or some kind of company that offers a legitimate program. So, there's not a lot of jujitsu programs. There are some like kickboxing, martial arts programs. So, you need to figure out some kind of like how to make like a jujitsu gym. It can't just go to a school and be like, we want to offer an after school program. A jujitsu gym would have to like develop a program and then say why they want to do it to after school programs. And that's kind of how you need to get into after school. I'm not so sure about PE classes, if that would be possible. Possibly at charter schools where they open it up for teachers. I know we, as a teacher, we've been given opportunities to offer classes or electives. I know I've taught like health and kickboxing classes, but coming up with some kind of connection with your local school, if you're trying to get into the school, is going to be your best bet, because there's going to be somebody, an outreach coordinator at the school, that's going to tell you how you can get in, whether it be in an extracurricular activity or an after school program, whether it be through like a grant, or if they like outsource all of their after school programs to a third party company. So those are the kind of connections that you're going to want to try to foster if you're trying to get into schools.
I would love for that shit to be in PE. If I had that in grade school, I wouldn't have got bullied as much. I'm all for it. And if people learn the consequences of a physical altercation and how dangerous it is, people would be popping off at the mouth way less often. I think they should do Muay Thai in public schools, and they make the little bastards put on the gear and be like, all right, y'all gonna talk shit to each other and Mr. Jokey Joke? Get in the ring. That's what I think. Tough love. Think about it. Think about the issues we have in the world because most people never got their shit kicked in. Think about it. If someone, I'm gonna get
That is
a
so
pop.
true. That
If
is so
somebody had slapped the shit out of Donald Trump for saying some wild shit way back in the day, do you think we'd have the issues in this country that we do now? All these people, if someone could just run up on you, like if someone took your IP address and found out where you lived, if you top wise on Facebook, and it was legal to slap the shit out of them, people wouldn't talk as crazy. So I think martial arts should definitely be in schools. Forget dodgeball. Although I do like when they had the little parachute thingy that they had in school. We should keep that. Everything else, yeah. Everything else, yes. All the other nonsense.
start training little killers. Yo, those parachute things, those are like in elementary school, because you give
I
the
have a
kids
curriculum for my children. My children, that might not ever happen, but I have a thorough curriculum. None of this football, basketball bullshit. They're gonna learn how to fight. Damn it. The last question.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast.
Yes.
Tim has lost his shit.
What are you talking about? I have. Listen, my kids are gonna be killers. I'm gonna make sure that they know they can take care of me in my old age. Listen, I'm raising ninjas. Speaking of raising ninjas, can you explain why TLI's kids program involves ninjas? That is from Adrian X Lobos. Adrian, I don't think they did ninjutsu. I don't think. I know Master Lloyd did ninjutsu, but I think Master Donnie said Tai Jitsu at first. I know for sure all the little kids, they do Tai Jitsu when they first start, and they can strike. Like little Lloyd, he's like Jose Aldo with these little combinations because they're like, hey, kick. And I'm like, okay, all of them know how to do it. Jamil needs to be on the podcast because he told me that they do full sparring. Were you there that day in practice when he said that?
No.
He said they used to do sparring with like gloves and stuff. I don't think they did ninjutsu, but if we did do ninjutsu at the gym, we wouldn't be able to tell you because it's a secret because we're ninjas. Nico?
Good point. Good point. I don't know what the kids do because I work at night school. So when the kids get out of school, I have to go in. It's very sad.
Yeah. On that note, that's all the questions that we have for today. Anything you want to add, Nico?
Not much. I dropped your tank top today. Yeah,
Yes.
the whole summer collection, which I didn't realize was as big as it was, dropped on favelajujitsu.com, which included this super comfy, soft Mushmaster tank tops. I was about to say t-shirts, which I got out of Cola the model, and then I had this great picture, and Cola was like, I don't like my face, and I was like, dude, yo, Cola though is like a little Playboy, not a little Playboy, little little GQ model.
Bro, why are you gonna put his business out there like that?
Because he
Adacola
modeled
is a
for me. That's
nice.
exactly what the picture. The point of me asking for pictures was to put him out there like that. And he got that. Him and Rico. I mean, like, yeah, like we have everything
They're
we
gonna
need to
quit
be alive.
to be models, bro.
Hmm?
They said
Yeah,
they're gonna quit jujitsu and be models, bro. You know, Adacola got the tough guy thing going on. You know, like he's just like, I'm from the trenches. I can't smile. But like knowing he pretty, like, come on, bro. Like you just gotta suck it up, bro. Like you gotta suck it up.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hey, Chris Brown does it. Chris Brown could do to do all these dance moves and back flips and knock people out, but he sings. He has the voice of an angel, and he's a pretty boy. You just gotta accept it, Adacola. But yes, we got the
Yeah.
Mushmaster gear.
Yeah, so I dropped that. I gotta find another picture, better picture. I'll have to have him take some and I'll send them to you. But yeah, they're on favelajujitsu.com. So cop yours before they run out. You could look cute for the couch.
For real ninjas only. Because we're talking about ninjas and
Yeah.
all right, so
Got it.
me, yeah, see? All right. TimSpriggsBJJ.com. That's for all things Tim Spriggs. If you want a mind map, which I gave to Nico with hers, we start from the starting position of every match. I break down your best techniques and your best positions and finishes in a mind map and a chart from the standing position to the finish. I have match critiques where I break down your matches in real time for you. I send you a video. I give you highlights of it. I break it down with John Madden. I take the cursor. I get in extreme detail, and it's just for you. You can hit me up at Tim Spriggs BJJ at Instagram and Facebook. If you want to be a part of the Legacy Martial Arts Association, go to legacymartialarts.org. That's where all things Legacy Martial Arts Association, we are building a pipeline of world-class grapplers of African descent. We are trying to spread jiu-jitsu and positivity throughout everyone in the African diaspora. So you can hit me up on there as well. And of course, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, give us a 5-star review on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. Anything less than 5 stars, you are a hater and we don't like you. But if you love us, give us 5 stars, because I know for myself, I'm a dope-ass, broke-ass grappler. Ribs is touching, and I can't fight people. So I'm going to give you this content, but you got to show me some love. And Nico some love, because she's the brains of this operation. All right. This has been the BJJ Goons podcast. Make sure that you're spreading love and positivity. Many blessings to all. Peace.
Peace.